Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Tom Johnson begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, the Recreation Day long weekend has been marred by tragedy after 2 separate crashes in the state's north. A 16-year-old boy died following a horror quad bike incident, while a 51-year-old paraglider is in intensive care after a rough landing near Scottsdale.
A young life lost in horrific circumstances.
It's another unfortunate, terrible death on our roads that we are struggling to explain.
The teen losing control of the ATV on Old Tram Road at Aldina while negotiating a gravel corner. The quad bike plunging off a bridge and down a 3-metre embankment. Both the boy and his 16-year-old female passenger were taken to the North West Regional Hospital in a critical condition.
This is another one of those instances where you look back 24 hours from today, they're hopefully going about their lives.
It's understood the pair were wearing helmets. Just 4 hours later, and on the other side of the state, another emergency unfolding at Jetsonville. A 51-year-old man flying a paramotor, like this scene here, making a crash landing on a private farm near Scottsdale.
The ambulance attended and the decision was made to send a helicopter from the south to pick up the patient, who was then flown to the Royal Hobart Hospital.
He's currently in intensive care in a stable condition. Nobody else was injured. Relevant authorities have been notified, with investigations into both incidents ongoing. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's state politicians will have a brief truce this week before slugging it out on a range of hot issues. The proposed AFL stadium and maritime trade with Indonesia, just some topics coming to the table in this week's parliamentary sitting.
A trade mission trip to visit our northeast neighbour.
Everyone's been to Bali, but there is so much more to Indonesia, and this is a country that we have been friends with for a very long time.
Tasmania now 2 weeks out from talking maritime trade with Indonesia.
And when it comes to the Indo-Pacific issues that we're facing, it's very important that we all reach out.
The government bringing some of the state's top companies along for the ride, including Pivot Maritime and the Australian Maritime College.
It's not just about manufacturing boats and ships, but it's also about the technology, digital data and programming side of things as well.
We've got some incredible companies in Tasmania looking to open up greater opportunities and business in that area.
But that's where the mutual understanding ends. Labor pushing Tasmania's $750 million AFL stadium proposal back in the ring, throwing punches at the government for neglecting the North's fair share of matches at York Park.
Premier, we want you to recommit on the public record that we will have an equal share of AFL content and the blockbuster games.
Conversations around fixtures are currently playing out, the government assuring matches will be equally rationed.
We will make sure that there are sufficient games in the north and the south so that everyone can participate.
The parties' heated debates will be briefly set aside on Tuesday as the government delivers a formal apology to victims of child sexual abuse.
We will stand with you. We know how important this is, and our hearts are with you, as are the hearts of all Tasmanians.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Just weeks after being re-elected, Hobart's Lord Mayor is set to represent the city on the world stage. Anna Reynolds will travel to Egypt for the UN's climate conference beginning next Sunday. Invited through her membership of the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Emergency, she'll promote Hobart's efforts to reduce climate change's impact.
Hobart is a great place to come and invest in clean energy, in solutions to climate change, that we are really at the forefront of tackling this issue.
The trip will be funded by the Global Mayors Group. Police are appealing for witnesses to come forward following an incident at Clarendon Vale last night. Just before 6:30, they were called to a house in Saladin Circle following reports of a dispute between 2 groups of people. One male received minor injuries, with both groups believed to be known to each other. A vehicle was destroyed, a boat and a house were also damaged. Meanwhile, emergency services were called to a structure fire at Nearstar early this morning. Fire crews from Hobart, Glenorchy and Bridgewater stations arriving to the Risdon Road property to find machinery in the purification building on the ground floor alight. The first responders working quickly with on-site emergency crews to extinguish the flames. An investigation has since deemed the fire accidental. Government House has opened its gates to the general public for a day of music, sightseeing and local produce. The Governor marking the occasion with a tribute to Queen Elizabeth II.
Typically off limits today on show, Tasmania's Governor, the Honourable Barbara Baker, and her husband, Emeritus Professor Don Chalmers, opening their home to the public.
We've had a beautiful day, we've had lots of people here and many children, which I've just so much enjoyed.
Thousands flocking in to get a glimpse of royal living.
It's a beautiful place, and why not open it to the public more often?
Many jumping at the chance to spend a day under the sun.
Don't believe me, just watch.
They've got the Navy band, the Army band, they're really good, and they've got some of the pipe bands, so that was the main reason. And such a great day, have a wander around the garden.
Others venturing into the bowels of the house.
It's just amazing, immaculate. The ceilings, every single room is different.
Community organisations setting up stalls to please the masses, and it was the perfect occasion to unveil the Queen Elizabeth II Quarry Pond Lookout.
She's visited Tasmania 7 times and on each occasion has stayed at Government House. So we're looking forward to the future royals coming here.
It will be another 2 years before the gates reopen to the general public, but those who missed out today can still have their time in the sun, with tours of the grounds available through the Government House's website. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Passions for vintage engines have boiled over at Westbury as a beloved event rolls into the station for another year. The family favourite has been running since 1965, with this year seeing some new attractions getting visitors hot under the collar.
Steaming up for an annual tradition. Pulling out all the stops, with volunteers kicking into gear as much of the machinery as possible over the long weekend.
It's been really good. Been a few youngsters having a good look and enjoying themselves, asking a lot of questions, which is a good thing.
Featuring everything from monumental farm equipment to pine cone powered pleasure cruises, Steam Up is a labour of love for organisers.
We can give train rides to the youngsters and with a small engine that runs around taking people and families out. So it's a sort of a very much a family day.
The collection has proved popular with steam fans, big and small.
So it's lovely to see the place with so many people here.
It's not just trains and tractors drawing crowds this weekend. A new exhibit is paying tribute to the contributions of Tasmania's women to the land. A local blacksmith has also forged a new connection with Perns. John Brown practising his traditional craft twice a week.
I've been doing blacksmithing as a hobby really for 7 years, but I learned as a young bloke when I was about 15. My brother was an apprentice blacksmith, so I kept the ideas up and it's good.
Helping to fire up a new generation. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Scott Roth has refused to use the Jack Jumpers' lengthy road trip as an excuse for last night's loss to the Brisbane Bullets. Brisbane got the jump on a weary-looking Tasmania, leading by 16 at half-time. However, the Jack Jumpers' fighting spirit was again on show as they closed in on Brisbane in the final term.
This place is going to erupt. Oh my goodness.
Are you serious?
Are you joking me?
They get it back to within one. The Jack Jumpers are closing and Brisbane are getting stage fright here at the moment.
It was too little too late, Brisbane claiming a 74-72 victory. Despite crisscrossing the Tasman and the continent, the coach refused to blame the travel for the performance.
We make absolutely zero excuses about that. We have a privilege to play this game, and energy and all that stuff, has to be there nightly for us.
The Jack Jumpers host the Breakers next up on Friday week. Hobart's WBBL finals chances have suffered a blow after the Brisbane Heat stormed home. The Canes recovered from a slow start, while the Heat appeared in trouble halfway through their chase before Laura Harris marked a milestone with a quick-fire half-century.
Under sunny skies at Blunston, the Hurricanes were after a quick start, but there was early trouble. Lizelle Lee fell victim to a good review from Brisbane, out for just 5. Her replacement, Rachel Treneman, wasn't far behind.
Oh, that should be out. That should be out, and it is.
It's an absolute disaster for Hurricanes.
And when Elise Villani was out for 8, Hobart was suddenly 3 for 20. Heather Gray made it to 11 before becoming the 4th wicket.
Gone. Carried. Graham living dangerously.
Staring at a low total, Nicola Carey and Minion Dupree added firepower to the innings.
And we've talked about that. The girls have mentioned her penchant for that shot.
Dupree posting a vital 73 from 54 deliveries, helping the Canes set 165.
That's well hit. Vastrick are underneath it. It's got too much on it.
Early wickets were critical, and star bowler Molly Strano got the early breakthrough.
Oh, there it is. It's paid off. They have paid off. It's magnificent stuff.
Strano and Gibson had the Heat in a spin, with Brisbane 4 for 65 in the 11th over. But in her 100th match, the Heat's Laura Harris decided to have some fun.
She gets a lot of that.
Yeah, that's gone.
That sounded beautiful off the bat. Oh, now she's pulling them all out.
Stop it.
Her 50 coming off 18 deliveries, the second fastest in WBBL history. Supported by Amelia Kerr, the Heat turned a tricky chase into a brilliant win. Brisbane winning with 2 balls to spare, a season-defining result for both sides. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening, everyone. Hobart saw the state's top today of 25 degrees, 23 in Launceston and Burnie and Devonport both 17. Friendly Beaches also saw the top of 25 today, 24 in Strawn, Ouse and St Helens, Grove at 23, 22 on King Island and Flinders Island at 20. Patchy low-level cloud covered much of the state today except for parts of the west coast and central north. Further out, extensive thunderstorm activity can be seen about inland parts of eastern states, while areas of mid to high cloud sit over the southwest of Western Australia. The remainder of the country is mostly clear. Tomorrow, a high-pressure system located just off the southern coast of New South Wales is extending ridges over most of the eastern mainland, while a series of troughs sits over Western Australia. Northwest to southwesterly winds tomorrow 10 to 15 knots about the south and east and variable 5 to 10 knots elsewhere. 21 degrees in Hobart tomorrow, partly cloudy and 20 in Dover, Ouse reaching 25. Launceston mostly sunny and 25, 21 in Devonport, Scottsdale 23. Partly cloudy and 19 in Burnie tomorrow, Strawn, cloud clearing and 20, 19 in Stanley. And in the east, St Helens and Swansea mostly sunny and 21 and 24 in Ross. And the UV tomorrow is very high across the state with sunset expected at 8 p.m. On Tuesday, fine with patchy morning fog, Launceston 27 and Hobart 24. Fine apart from isolated showers about elevated parts of the north on Wednesday. And on Thursday, showers about the north extending statewide during the afternoon. Sunny in Perth and Adelaide tomorrow, Melbourne 25, showers and 22 in Canberra, 25 also in Brisbane and Alice Springs reaching 37. And currently mostly sunny right across the state with Hobart 21 degrees, 20 in Launceston and Devonport 17, and that's all in Sunday night's weather, Tom.
Thank you very much for that, Chelsea, and thank you for joining the 7 Tasmania News team here tonight. Kim's back tomorrow. A very good evening.